Yes, my dear.
Can you ask me out in your fancy dark toys?
What is your name? Brittany. Brittany. I feel like to go out on a date with that. You. So amazing. I have not seen it. I'm too busy with Star Trek. Yeah, Star Wars, yeah, absolutely. Battlestar Galactica. But you know what's funny? I have to tell you a funny Doctor Who story. Last year, I did a couple of conventions in Australia. And what they like to do in Australia is, they don't want to fly you over for just one, that would be rather, for one weekend, that would be rather cost prohibitive, let's say. So what they do is they'll do 2 conventions, one on one week in one city, and one another weekend, the next weekend at another city, and they'll just keep you there. I mean, like, if you're going to go that far, you want to see Australia anyway, right? So they'll fly you into Sydney, and then you'll do the convention in Sydney, and then you'll hang out and enjoy Australia. And then they'll fly you to Perth, and you'll do the convention the following weekend in Perth, or Melbourne, and then the next week in Brisbane, but it's always 2 weekends. So the fun thing is that you end up spending like 2 weeks, you know, or a week and a half at least over there, and you're there with all the other guests. So that's how I've gotten to become really good friends with some people that, like, I really enjoyed watching when I was young, and even now. Like, I mean, I've become really good friends with several people from, like, Battlestar Galactica, and, like, Lou Ferrigno, and Richard Hatch, and all these, like, Michael Dorn from Star Trek, and Marina Sirtis, and all these great people. And last year I was in Australia for this little week and a half stretch, and there were these 3 guys that were guests along with me, but I didn't know who they were. I mean, often there will be people that you're not familiar with what they do. But we were hanging out all weekend, having a great time, laughing, you know, having dinner together and going back and forth on the bus and chatting. And after the whole time was over, I remember, like, somebody talking about the 3 of these 3 guys. And I'm like, yeah, who were they anyway? And they looked at me like, they were all 3 Doctor Who's. They were like, 3 of them, like, there. And I was like, oh, I didn't know. So I don't dare tell that to any of my Doctor Who friends who are big fans, because they'll kill me.
Hi, this is my first anime convention.
Welcome.
I was wondering, what was it like when you realized you had this huge fan base?
You know what? It didn't happen overnight. That's for sure. In fact, I'll tell you something. I mean, I had done 30 or 40 different series by the time Full Metal Alchemist came along, and that was like 6 years ago. And because Full Metal was on television, it brought a lot more exposure to anime, and it just kind of, over the years, I think it's a combination of getting the chance to play some really good roles, and really loving the fans, and letting you guys know that how much I appreciate your support. Because you know what, when we record shows, you guys all know this, but when we record characters, we're in a booth. We're literally in a padded box, and there's no what?
Aaron in the booth.
Exactly. There is no audience. There are no other actors to act with. You are alone with your headphones and a television screen and your script. So if you say something that's really emotional, nobody's there to go, oh. And if you say something really funny, nobody's there to laugh. And that's a big part of performing. Any of you guys that have ever done stage, you know that a connection with the audience is a big part of stage. So that's one of the reasons that I so cherish being able to come out to conventions and interact with you guys and hear your reaction to different shows and characters and scenes and moments in different series, because it's kind of like the missing piece of theater performing, is the audience and interacting with the audience. And so I think that a combination of all those things have been why the fan base has grown so much, and I am grateful beyond words. I mean, I wake up every morning and I thank God for the privilege to do what I do. And I'm so excited and happy to do it. And I love every chance to come and hang out with you guys. So thank you for the question. It was very sweet. Yes, sir.
My friend would like to give you a hug.
That's so strange. I wanted to give her a hug. Come here and hug me. Hug me now.
I was going to give you a whole bunch of hugs.
What's your name? Nice to meet you, Jessica. There will be plenty of hugging at the autograph session too, so. And guys, you're included. I'm not homophobic. Proof once again, right there. I'll hug you, man.
Just fun.
Is that just a sign, or do you have a question?
I have a question.
Yes.
All the animes that you voice acted for, what is your favorite?
You know, I used to tell people, it's so funny, because you can imagine you get that question a lot, right?
Yeah.
So I used to tell people, oh, I could never pick one. I love them all. And, you know, real kind of non-committal. But then, you know what? You know what the turning point was? When I recorded the last episode of Brotherhood. I recorded the last episode of Brotherhood, and I stood in the booth going, myself, I have played this character a long time, and for like 152, 64, 116 episodes and OVAs, Conquer of Shambhala, and some video games. I could no longer deny that Ed is my favorite character that I've ever gotten to play. Running right behind Ed, real close second is Tamaki. But yeah, you can't play a character like that for that long and not be so crazy and love with him, you know? And there are not a lot of Edward Elrics in anime. You know what I mean? There are not a lot of roles like that that are written so well, that are so flawed and yet heroic. And broken and making dumb mistakes and then coming through for somebody. And like it's such a so tall. And so I love Ed. He's definitely one of my favorites. Yes?
Although he does grow taller.
Dude, that is a very weird mutation you're asking for. Do the Maca chant in Broly's voice? Well, let me just say, as a general rule, I do not do Broly anywhere outside of the studio because Broly rips Mr. Larynx to shreds. Oh, dude, you have no idea. Oh my gosh. I was just, guess where I was? Guess where I was this past Tuesday? In Dallas. No, not jail. I was in Dallas recording another DBC video game. And then every time I go up there to record another Dragon Ball Z video game, the director and the producer and the engineer, they're like, yeah, this is going to be hard. They're like, you know, we'll take plenty of breaks today. Do you need some water? You want to take some time? Because that voice just rips my throat out. So, exactly. Exactly. Hey, there's a reason for that joke. But my friend over here, where'd he go? Where'd that side go? He did a great Maca chant. Maca, 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 Maca. He was awesome, and his hair is very cool. Okay, well, guy. Yes. Impossible. I could never hate you. What's your question? I hate you. No. Isn't this a perfect test of peer pressure? Isn't it? But I'm not giving in. I'm not. Hold on. I have a question. Shh, I have a question. I want to see everybody's hands down, please. I want to see the show of hands. Be honest. How many of you have never heard, either live or on YouTube, the miniskirt line?
Oh!
Look at that. That means that the overwhelming majority of people. You know what? I love you, sweetheart. I could never hate you, and I love the shirt. Where did you get a blue Full Metal shirt? That's awesome. Stand up, let them see. Stand on your chair. Stand up on your chair. Look at this. Oh. But, you know what, you guys? I promised myself a long time ago, not a long time ago, like a year and a half. Quinn, when was it? Like a year and a half, 2 years ago? I promised that line has got to die. If somebody could manifest that line in front of me and I could take like a knife and stab it through the heart, I would. But, well, that's awesome if you want to wear a miniskirt. I can't say that line anymore. As much as I love you guys, I do. Yes?
If I was to come to the end of the contest, you were my steak, in a miniskirt, and you were there, would you say it?
No. See? I can hold my ground. No, you know what? I would say, you know what? I would probably say, I would, if you were dressed as Robe in a miniskirt, I would probably come up to you and I would say, wow, you look dead sexy. That would be as close as I would come. Yes, sweetie.
As you get older, is it hard?
Hey, what? As you get decrepit.
As the voice ages, is it hard to like do voices like Edward Elric voice? Is it getting harder to do Edward's voice?
I hope not. Well, now the good news is, did you guys know that there is a movie coming after Brotherhood? Yeah, there's a trailer for it online. It looks really cool. But the good news is that I'm not going to be. I mean, there's not much more to do if you think about it. But the other good, and the other, well, that's not good news. I guess that's kind of bad news. But you know what? I'm the age that I am, and I still sound like this. And so I'm hoping that until I'm very, very, very old, I hope I'll sound the same.
Okay.
I hope. We can all keep our fingers crossed. But
it just seems like if you're using your voice a lot like that it might wear out.
well, it's possible, but you know, there's something to be said for taking care of it. Not doing Broly every time you're asking. But you know, I do a lot of singing as well, and my voice has obviously come to be very important to me. So, is it pretty? I have to tell you a funny story. We finished Full Metal Alchemist years ago, right? The first was like 6 years ago. And so nobody ever thought that there was going to be any more. It was done. There was no hint that there were... Kimberly. Oh, good. There was not much, there was no indication that there would be more Full Metal. And so when Brotherhood came out, and Funimation picked it up, and we suddenly realized that we were going to be doing more Full Metal, like 64 more episodes, something inside me said, oh my gosh, what if I don't sound the same? What if just the years and the voice acting, whatever, what if I just don't sound like the same anymore? What if I can't do it anymore? And, you can do it! And, so you know what? The very first recording session for Brotherhood, very first one, I went in, and the director said, okay, we have a reference line from the original series. So what they do is they'll pull a line that was previously recorded to give you, like, to remind you what it sounded like, and then you basically repeat the line. So you would hear Ed say something from 6 years earlier, and then you repeat it. And I was like, oh my gosh, you know, this is like it, moment of truth, right? Here's Ed, and then me, 6 years later. And they played the line, and I said it immediately, and the director's like, crap, you sound exactly the same. I said, thank you, God, thank you. So hopefully that won't ever happen. Maybe it's some, yeah.